Hey guys, Mr. Reviews here. Been a long time since I did a video, but I thought might as well finally get around to making another video. It's been quite a long time, and I've got quite a lot of stuff here. It was my birthday, 2 days ago, so I've got a bunch of new games, and one thing in particular that I ordered off PlayAsia just arrived literally just when I woke up, 5-10 minutes ago. So hell yeah. I'm going to start with that stuff because it's gaming related, but it's not actual games. So there's one game in particular for both PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita, Japanese game, that was finally brought over. The other games in the series were never, but this game and its sequel, which is coming out at least in the UK, and I might actually order a UK copy off PlayAsia when it comes out, literally the same day as Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, and that sequel comes out, and this game in particular is Hatsune Miku Project Diva F on both the PS3 and the PlayStation Vita. And I actually bought the game on both PS3 and Vita while they were on sale here in Australia on the PlayStation Store for 3 days or something. So for the price of just the PS3 version, I got both PS3 and the Vita version and bought pretty much all the DLC for both versions of the game. And anyway, on PlayAsia, I decided to order not just the Project Diva F complete soundtrack, but I also decided to order this slightly more expensive, that being said that was on sale, but also decided to order the Thank You 1826 Days 5th anniversary. It's basically the best of from all the Project Diva games, from the ones back on the PSP all the way to F. Definitely all the way to F because Odds and Ends is on this album, etc. So I thought I'd just unbox those CDs for you guys and show you what's in them. So bear with me. Here is the Project Diva F soundtrack. That little thing. So in the front here we have both CDs, disc 1 and 2. And in the back we have a DVD with a couple of the in-game music videos, as well as the CG animated game intro. And we've got the booklet with all the all the lyrics and all that. It's the back. Now, basically the best of from all the games. I've got to say, people reviewed this of course on PlayAsia, and man, this packaging really good for this particular album, compilation, whatever you want to call it. Here we got lyrics again. Got some artwork here in the back. These are some images from, that's the image for Cat Food and Project Diva F, the one for Weekender Girl, Stay With Me, Odds and Ends, Stick Music Factory. Not sure about that one actually, maybe from a different game that isn't F, because all the other images are from Project Diva F. Here, same sort of album as before, with the F collection, 2 CD, disc 1 and 2. And here in the back, unlike the Diva F soundtrack, which comes with a DVD, this comes with a Blu-ray. So thank God right now I have a PlayStation 3, so I can actually watch this. There's also, just like the other one, there's I'm going to assume they are the in-game videos for the various games. Nope. Yeah, unlike the Diva F soundtrack, I have no idea. You know, I'm damn near positive it'll just be, the songs that are on that Blu-ray are the in-game videos, just like on the DVD that comes with the Diva F soundtrack. But hell yeah, cost me around $120, including the really expensive $30 shipping to order both of these CDs. But definitely worth it, because ever since I started playing Project Diva F, I have just become uber obsessed with Hatsune Miku in general, and just all the music, just Vocaloid music in general. So yeah, these two soundtracks, including the price for shipping, around $120, definitely worth it. But yeah, now let's move on to games. I'm going to go through alphabetically, and I'll start out with PlayStation 3, because for really cheap, for only $23, brand new at eBay. Of course, a lot of these games, even though I bought them for my birthday, are already being sold as the Christmas sale price, because of course we're in November, so it's nearly Christmas time, so they're already selling stuff. Haven't even played through the first level of this game. I briefly started playing it because I remember the first level, played it on PC at a at a game, at a internet cafe, on a bunch of gaming rigged PCs, and that is the reboot DMC Devil May Cry on the PlayStation 3. Picked it up. Really awesome game from what I played of it. What is it? Probably around a year ago now. At City Hunter is the internet cafe gaming PC, place that I went to with my mate, and they had this game on there, and I decided to start playing it. Of course, typical PC bullshit. Constantly running into crashes and stuff every time I kept beating the first level. But that first level has such awesome music and stuff like that. On top of that, I downloaded all of the Combi Christ tracks that are made that were either made for the game or licensed for the game. All of the Combi Christ tracks are heavy metal, stuff like that. And I'm like, hell yeah, this is awesome music, great soundtrack. And then the game was on sale for $23. I'm like, yeah, gonna pick it up. So hell yeah, huge fan of the reboot, by the way. I was never a huge fan of the original games as it is, so so there's the sort of difference. So I don't really care that they changed his look and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't faze me that much. Then of course, as I just showed before, technically is counted as my birthday. My mum paid for half of it and I paid half of it. But from an awesome guy here in Australia, down in the ACT, or Australian Capital Territory, he sold me his PlayStation Vita. This is of course the original one with the better OLED LCD display, and it isn't just the Wi-Fi. This is the first ever OG Vita. This is the fourth or fifth Vita I've ever owned, but this is the first ever original model 3G and Wi-Fi model. Look, you see, right there, right on the side, that's where the 3G card goes in. First ever 3G/Wi-Fi model of the Vita I've ever owned. Not that I use the 3G feature at all, but it's cool to actually have that more elusive, technically more expensive, worth a lot more money version of the Vita. On top of that, it also came with the hard case that he obviously bought, the third-party hard case for the system. Also came with a 16 gig memory card, which is a hell of a lot better because I only ever owned an 8 gig card. And on top of that, it came with 3 games. So I guess I won't go through these all alphabetically. I'll go through the 3 games that he sent with it. those games are surprisingly awesome, and the first game I really popped in and I finished it in, within the span of 24 hours of getting the Vita and the games, and that's Killzone Mercenary. Awesome game, absolutely amazing. The one game out of the three that I have not yet touched, although I previously owned it and played it a little bit, bloody phone's gone off, that game is Soul Sacrifice. I do know that it's a really cool game. I'm just glad that I didn't get that far through it originally when I first ever played it, so I'm not so like, I need to get into the game again because I didn't get that far through. It didn't quite hook me yet, so I'm able to sort of put it off and put it on the back burner for a little bit, which is fine because I have so many freaking games to play through. And then, of course, lastly, partly the reason I got it, got this deal, besides the fact that it was an amazing deal for only $200. Of course, if you know your stuff already, you already know just those two games alone, along with the Vita and the 16 gig memory card, it's already worth well over $200. And this game, especially since it's an Australian copy, the only ones you can find on eBay are like UK or American copies of this game. And that is still, in my opinion, the best game on the Vita, Persona 4 Golden. And as I said, an Australian copy of Persona 4 Golden. Hell yeah. Originally I picked up this package, as I said, for this game, and I was still going to buy a PlayStation TV, or PlayStation Vita TV, at launch in about a week's time, to be able to play, like I always have wanted to do, Persona 4 Golden on the big screen. Although that being said, I now have so many Vita games, and most of them, or a lot of them, would be incompatible with Vita TV, so I couldn't care that much anymore, and I'm actually having a lot of fun playing all my stuff on the Vita itself. Anyway, let's go into the actual games. This one in particular my mate paid for, which is awesome, for my birthday, and a game I definitely want to check out for a while. That is Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. It's all, Metroidvania style. So, going through an open map and, going back to old areas you've previously been to but weren't able to access because you don't have the right upgrades, stuff like that. So, hell yeah, I'm a huge Metroid fan of the 2D games, and this is sort of, them trying that out a bit. So that's cool. The rest of the games I bought with my own money that I got for my birthday and stuff, and I actually got paid in the same week on the same day, so that was really convenient. But here I also picked up Danganronpa 1 for the Vita. Didn't end up picking up 2 because it's still like $55, but this one, Danganronpa 1 Trigger Happy Havoc, cost only $30. It was the only copy up the road at my local EB, and I actually went up there. I ended up buying another game straight away, or another game with it, because I went up, this is the only copy that they had. It was on the shelf for the longest time, and it wasn't there, and I'm like, what the hell? Went to the counter, and I'm really close with the manager, I'm always up there and stuff, we're always chatting, and she's like, oh yeah, Danganronpa 1, yeah, I've got it on hold, it's right here, right next to it on the counter. I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, did you call up and put it on hold? And I'm like, no, I didn't. And she's like, yeah, I don't think it, I think the person was called Raphael or something like that, from memory. And I'm just like, that game is so hard to find. It's the only copy you guys have. I haven't seen any in any other EB or like JB in the area and stuff. And she's like, it's all good. I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you for, just because you're awesome, basically. I'm like, sweet as. Plus, I was also buying another game at the same time, which is Wipeout 2048. Absolutely awesome game. I've been getting so into Wipeout because of this game. Been playing this. Downloaded the expansion pack / the full Wipeout HD Fury on PlayStation 3. Also downloaded like yesterday Wipeout, the original Wipeout for PlayStation 1 as a PS1 classic from the PlayStation Store. Obviously nowhere near as good as the current game, but games, but you know, still fun. Next up, never loved the following game by Nihilistic Software on the Vita, which was Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified. Absolutely terrible game. But before that, at the launch of the Vita, they made Resistance Burning Skies, and I've played through the first, 2 missions of this game, and it is really good. For the longest time, most people definitely say that Killzone Mercenary is these freaking pricks. Most people think that Killzone Mercenary is the best shooter on the Vita, and I'd probably agree. But honestly, I reckon it's not. Resistance is not as laggy. I don't know. It feels quite, just like Killzone 2 and 3 on the PS3. It feels very kind of like a little bit clunky, and it feels a little slower than your general FPS. Whereas to me, Resistance on the Vita is like the Call of Duty of FPS games on the Vita, more so than Call of Duty on Vita. So yeah, but Resistance feels great for an FPS on. The thing is, playing FPS games on, even though it's got dual analog sticks, they're not quite as great as you'd want them to be. I guess because the overall amount of room that you've got in terms of pushing them down and stuff, it's like directly, the input goes in straight away. The dead zone is a lot less smaller than on an actual controller with analog sticks, so it's a lot more immediate, and Resistance gets perfectly done. Next up, can't wait to get into this game actually, finally. Never owned it before on all the previous Vitas I've owned, and that is Uncharted Golden Abyss. Not the biggest fan of the Uncharted series, honestly. And I mean, I know this game in particular is not by Naughty Dog. This one's by Bend Studio, or Sony Bend. But the Uncharted series in general, Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 on the PlayStation 3, and then followed by The Last of Us, and then of course Uncharted 4 is in development for PlayStation 4, made by Naughty Dog, and I'm a huge fan and grew up playing Crash Bandicoot, the original Crash Bandicoot games, 1, 2, and 3, and Team Racing for the PlayStation 1, and then of course the Jak and Daxter trilogy and Jak X Combat Racing on the PlayStation 2, all made by Naughty Dog, and those franchises and games are absolutely amazing. And then Uncharted, not a huge fan, in general. I hate how they went such a different direction. And then in relation to that, Resistance, once again, this game in particular on the Vita is by Nihilistic, but the Resistance franchise was made by Insomniac Games, who created the original Spyro games on PlayStation 1, and started on PlayStation 2, Ratchet and Clank. And ever since, at least they still do Ratchet, and there's one coming out to coincide with the movie next year in 2015, coming out on PlayStation 4, basically like a remake of the first ever game. But ever since they started doing, their Resistant games on PlayStation 3, and now stuff like Fuse, which was multi-platform, PS3 and 360, and it wasn't that great, and now they just released what looks to be amazing and getting rave reviews, Sunset Overdrive, is freaking Xbox One exclusive. Seriously? Go fuck yourself, Insomniac. Seriously, man. I was like, Sony loyalists for decades, and then you jump ship. Thanks. And lastly, I also picked up this game, Smart As. Of course, typically on clearance for only $3-4. Brand new, by the way. And it's going for like $13, like an extra $10 more secondhand, which is pretty ridiculous. But this is actually surprisingly fun, just like, I guess, things like Brain Training on the DS. This game is surprisingly addictive. And of course, the narrator, the main person talking to you all the time while you're playing through it, is John Cleese. which is awesome. So, hell yeah, surprisingly fun. And I guess to add on to top of that, I've got plenty of digital games, full retail games digitally on Vita on my account. The ones that I currently have though digitally on my account is of course Project Diva F and Virtue's Last Reward. Those are the ones that I currently have on there as a download. And on top of that, I have some other PSP games. I've got, of course, I had to re-download Persona 3 Portable for the PSP, and I also downloaded yesterday, actually, with part of my birthday money and all that, obviously, a game called a visual novel slash if I pronounce it right, Otome or whatever. Essentially a visual novel, and it's obviously from this perspective of a girl, and like a girl going for different really attractive dudes or whatever. So I looked up the word in particular to find out exactly what it means and stuff. But yeah, it's basically a visual novel, but as opposed to playing as a guy who gets all the chicks, it's like a chick who gets all the guys, kind of thing. Called Sweet Fuse, which is actually released by Access Games. Essentially Arc System Works, like publishing arm in the US or whatever. I don't think the game ever for the PSP. Only last year. I don't think it ever came out like here in Australia, but it got released on the PlayStation Store for the Vita, and it's actually sold in the like as a Vita game, like in the Vita section. It's not labeled primarily as like PSP game. It's just sold as a regular game, which is kind of weird. A little bit of false advertisement there, but whatever. But yeah, those are all the games so far. Still got another 2 games actually in the mail. One from PlayAsia coming from the US for the Vita, and of course then another Vita game coming from JB Hi-Fi. So I'll bring some videos either once they come out or once they each arrive or once they both arrive or something. And then of course, as I said, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax coming out in about 2 weeks time. And then 2 other games coming out a fortnight after that. So, plenty of stuff coming out, plenty of unboxings to do, So, hell yeah. Anyway, for now, this video's gone on long enough. This is Mysteries Reviews. I'll see you guys next time.